Brilliantly boring. Presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets getting into camp and ready to launch this thing after taking just a handful of snaps last season. He's got Breece Hall behind him. He's got a revamped offensive line in front of him. He's got maybe the best defense in football on the other side. And we are with the Jets today, Florham Park, New Jersey, as they get ready to host the Commanders in their first preseason game this weekend. They're going to have joint practices beginning tomorrow. And we have our Jonathan Jones joining us from a what looks like a pretty dreary Jets training camp park there. It's a little foggy behind you, a little drizzly, a little cool. You got the long sleeve on. But what everybody wants to know is, what are you hearing about Aaron Rodgers going into what he hopes is his first full year with the Jets?
You know, Chris, I was really looking forward to watching Aaron Rodgers spin it out here, because what I had seen on the social media clips, what we just showed there, the no-look passes, I wanted to see it in person, but they canceled practice due to the weather that they were anticipating. Obviously, they could have probably practiced in this, but also the Jets had determined, look, we've had multiple straight days of padded practices. We have another team coming in for a joint practice and then the exhibition against the Commanders, and so they decided to have a walkthrough. What I've heard about Aaron Rodgers is that he looks fantastic, is that he is very normal within the building, that everyone understands that business needs to be taken care of. And talking with Morgan Moses earlier, he talked about unfinished business here. And so there is a business-like atmosphere. I know last year, it's really interesting, Chris, there was a lot around this team. And they did hard knocks. And maybe they had a choice, maybe they didn't. But in talking with the Jets last year, they were saying, you know what? Hard Knocks group, they're flies on the wall. It's okay. We're focused on us. And now this year, a year separated from it, you always hear from them saying, boy, you know, we had Hard Knocks last year, and there was just a lot of distractions and all that. So, you know, it's one of those things where you're kind of having it both ways. But this is a Jets group that, thankfully, I think for them, and frankly for us in the media, there's not a whole lot that you're talking about the Jets. And the Jets aren't putting a lot out there. They are finally focused on themselves, which frankly, for the last couple of years, probably should have been their main focus. Aaron Rodgers not going on any television shows lately, though he very likely will continue that come the fall. And so we'll see if all of those distractions that he wanted to get rid of with the team, but he was creating within the team last year, if those will ultimately be dead and gone in the 2024 season.
Well, he hopes to be protected a lot more than Jets quarterbacks were a season ago. We know he went down early, and then the offensive line kind of fell apart. They revamped that O-line. 4 new players, including Morgan Moses, who you spoke to earlier. I know you spoke to Quinnen Williams as well. What did he say about this offensive line and how they hope that this thing is completely different this season?
I think I heard the phrase iron sharpens iron between a half dozen and a dozen times today. It is a phrase of camp. This is my 12th stop, and I think I've heard it in all 12 places. But honestly and truthfully, the Jets do feel that way. This is an offensive line that just wasn't good enough last season, and it wouldn't have been good enough if Aaron Rodgers had remained healthy and not gone down with the Achilles tear on the 4th snap of the season. It's what they were concerned about throughout the preseason, that they hoped would get better. I remember the joint practices they had with the Carolina Panthers in Spartanburg, South Carolina, that it didn't hold up like you thought they would against a not particularly fearsome Carolina Panthers pass rush. So now they went out, and Joe Douglas was able to fortify that offensive line. You have a future Hall of Fame left tackle in Tyron Smith. You continue down the line, and Elijah Vera Tucker healthy and playing at one spot. They go out and get John Simpson from the Baltimore Ravens in free agency, and then bring back Morgan Moses, who is consistent, who was a stalwart, who played with a torn pec for 3/4 of the season last year, had off-season surgery, and returned last week to practice for the first time. That they have had all 5 starting offensive linemen out there. And so the Jets do feel very, very good about this front. And Aaron Rodgers is particular about a lot of things, and certainly his offensive line. And so they are getting to know one another. And, you know, I do believe that this offensive line has to be better. because it can't be worse than last year. We just flashed the graphic a little bit ago. All the starting line combinations, all of the sacks that were allowed. Surely it didn't help some of the quarterbacks that they played back there in Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle and et cetera, et cetera. Basically not Aaron Rodgers. Well, Aaron's back. He's going to get the football out of his hands quickly. That is what he and offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett do. And I've also been told, as far as on the outside, yeah, there's Garrett Wilson, but Allen Lazard, I'm told by folks here, having the best camp, really maybe out of all the other receivers here. So a lot of positives for the Jets right now.
Yeah, Lazard, great chemistry with Rodgers going back to Green Bay. We showed the graphic of all the additions that the Jets have made, the 4 offensive linemen, but at the very top, Hassan Reddick on defense. Now, he's an addition if they can get him into the fold. He's been fined about $1 million so far already for missing camp. What's the latest on that situation?
Yeah, $1 million to miss camp, and what I can tell you, Chris, is he's not going to make that money back. The money is not going to come back. This happens all the time. Chris Jones did this last year with the Chiefs, and he missed a game. He didn't make the money back. And even if he had a Defensive Player of the Year season, he still would have lacked a little bit of money. Hassan Reddick, I'll tell you what the Jets' perspective is. They are not going to pay Hassan Reddick another dollar until he comes in here. There's not going to be a negotiation while he's away. That's the Jets' stance. I know that, I feel that, and I believe that Hassan Reddick and his representation, at least that has been communicated very clearly to them. When they traded for Hassan, they could have extended him, right? We've seen the statistics. We just flashed them up right there. But anytime that you do a trade for a player who you know is in the last year of a contract, who you know is going to want some sort of contract enhancement, you set a parameter of a deal where everyone is on the same page. Hey, well, this may not get done as soon as the trade happens, but we're all going to work in good faith together and it's going to get done. Clearly, there was some sort of miscommunication or a misunderstanding on one side or the other, perhaps maybe even both. But Hassan Reddick not here at camp, and I can tell you this, in talking with folks, they don't really care. The players don't seem to care. It's not like they've been going to battle with Hassan Reddick the last couple of years and like, man, I miss my dog, but business is business, right? I've been to the Cowboys camp where they've said that about CeeDee Lamb. I was just in Santa Clara where they're talking about Brandon Ayuk in that way. That's not the case here. These guys, they only know Hassan Reddick based off clips they've seen over the years. None of them really know him personally. So this isn't messing with the team chemistry. This isn't same old Jets. The guys, in talking with folks here, truly don't really care. He'll show up when he shows up.
All right. Yeah, it's defense that was still great even without him last season, as you point out. Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old, turns 41 in December. Is this the Jets' one and only chance now remaining to win a Super Bowl with this core, with Aaron Rodgers getting into his 40s?
I don't know that this is the one and only chance, Chris. It is a fantastic chance, right? You have a defense that, despite all of the deficiencies offensively last year, was still able to rank, as we have shown, in the top 3 of some very important categories. Number 1 in terms of yards per play allowed. And so, yeah, you do believe that it is sooner than later the Jets have to do something. It's been 13 years, right, since the Jets have even made the playoffs, and it's been a very, very long time since they made the Super Bowl. I asked the source this earlier. Is it a playoffs or bust edict necessarily here? No, but they know that they need to make the playoffs. It has been too long, and I don't know that Aaron Rodgers won't play in 25, and they can't keep the core of this group together. I'm not sure of that. Joe Douglas has done a very good job of drafting. Of course, he's been drafting pretty high the last couple of years. So I don't feel like this is the year or else. It could be 25, but surely, certainly, as we have been saying a couple years ago, when it's been 9 years since the Jets made the playoffs, and 10 and 11, it can't stretch to 14. It has to be that they are playing meaningful January football in the AFC divisional round for this to be deemed any sort of success.
First preseason game this Saturday against the Commanders, who are in town beginning tomorrow. Joint practices. Our Jonathan Jones with the Jets today as our training camp tours continue here on CBS Sports HQ. Here's what's coming up tomorrow. We're with the Tennessee Titans. Sunday, with the Detroit Lions team that was one step away from the Super Bowl. The Chicago Bears Next week, that first episode of Hard Knocks last night. Bryant McFadden has the Bears in the postseason this year, along with the Cleveland Browns in the AFC North. We'll be with the Browns and the Giants next week as well.